Namaste, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan and we are coming to you from Bengaluru. Well, Bengaluru's Namma Metro has turned into one of the most expensive public transit systems in Bharat after witnessing a steep increase in its fares in February, which has drawn criticism from various people. A lot of the metro stations this morning were quite empty. Days ago, the Bengaluru Metro Rail Corporation or BMRC took the decision to increase the metro fare. Now, after the revision in fare, the minimum fare stood at 10 rupees, while the maximum fare that was revised from 60 rupees to 90 rupees. So it's more than Mumbai and Delhi now. There is almost a 50% increase in the maximum fare. This steep rise in the price of metro fares has also led to public uproar and also saw a decline in the footfall on a very busy Monday. Like I said, I witnessed there were hardly many people traveling by metro this Monday. But there was also a 4% decrease in ridership and it spilled over into this Tuesday too, with 8.29 lakh passengers amid reports of lower than usual crowds at stations inside metros. Some commuters also took to social media to share that they opted for private vehicles because of the increased fares. So this trend continues into midweek. The metro fares have not been revised in Bengaluru since 2017. The BMRCL took the initiative of writing to the union government and appealed to them to revise the fares. In response to the BMRCL's letter, a fare fixation committee was constituted by the union government under Justice R. Tharani, retired Justice R. Tharani, a former Madras High Court judge. The committee had representatives of both the state and the union governments. The committee was given a 3-month deadline by the union government to submit revised fare prices. They visited Delhi, Chennai metro authorities and consulted with BMRCL officials regarding the fare structures. The fare structures of other metros were reviewed by the committee, which included Mumbai, Delhi and of course Chennai. In Mumbai metro, the minimum fare stands at 10 rupees and the maximum is at 80 rupees. In Delhi, the metro fare presently ranges between 10 rupees to 60 rupees. So that makes Bengaluru the most expensive. Meanwhile, there has also become a political fight on this entire thing, with the centre blaming the state blaming the centre, BJP versus Congress, with Tejasvi Surya, the Bengaluru South MP, voicing opposition to the recent Bengaluru metro fare hike during the 0 hour in Parliament, highlighting its impact on the middle class. He argued that this surge had made Bengaluru Metro the most expensive metro network in the country, defeating its original goal of offering an affordable and sustainable public transport option. Siddaramaiah, meanwhile, has said, the Chief Minister of Karnataka has said in a statement, and I quote, the same BJP leaders who take credit for Bengaluru Metro's expansion as the centre's achievement are now shifting the blame onto the Karnataka government when there is public anger over the fare hike. This is nothing but self-deception and hypocrisy. But BJP MP PC Mohan has taken to X and stated the steep hikes under the Karnataka Congress government since 2023. He's shown how property registration fees are up by 600%, property guidance values by 30%, vehicle registration by 10%, hospital services by 5%, state-run colleges by 10%, Bengaluru metro fares by 50%, electric vehicle tax by 10%, electricity tariffs by 14.5%, water tariffs by 30%, property tax by 25%, seed prices by 60%, beer prices by 45%, milk prices by 15%, bus fares by 15%. Is there anything left that can be increased, whose prices can be increased, is a question that comes to mind when you see such posts. Let's go across to our guests and ask them, who's to blame? Why is this happening? Priya Chetty Rajagopal, activist, joining us. Bhaskar Rao, spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP with us. And Syed Asad Abbas, political analyst with us. My namaste, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat to everyone. Thank you very, very much. My first question is to Mr. Bhaskar Rao. Who's to blame for this? Because the committee was a joint one. The union government formed this fare fixation committee. So if we talk about metro, Namma Metro has become dearer on the pocket. Bhaskar Raoji, who's responsible?
Now, instead of going into who should be blamed and who is held responsible, etc., I invite everybody's attention to section 34, 35, 36 and 37 of the Metro Act, on account of which the central government nominates the chairperson of the fare fixation committee, and the MD of Metro is the representative of the center, and the state nominates one person. In this case, Mr. Ramana Reddy has been appointed, so it's a 3-person committee. The Metro Act has been so cleverly drafted, keeping in view that these kind of wars will spoil the metro mechanism. They have made it in such a way that whatever the recommendation of the Fare Fixation Committee will be binding by Section 37 on the carrier, that is BMRCL. But however, since it is a public service platform, Tejasvi Surya has already done his bit by saying, by having raising it in the parliament, as well as meeting the minister and honorable MP of Bangalore Central. He has also voiced it a number of times. Nothing prevents the chief minister also stating that such a steep hike is not in the interest of the daily passengers. Let it not be wished away saying that
Correct.
metro infrastructure may have been provided by Government of India, but please don't forget that the ownership of metro lies with the state government. It is the state government who owns the rolling stock of the metro, so it cannot be just washed away. So it is a joint effort. So both MPs have done their bit, and now neither the central government can take a decision nor the state government can unilaterally take a decision. The decision is now in the hands of the RCL, which is obliged to toe the line or carry out the decision of the Fare Fixation Committee. The Fare Fixation Committee can intervene, or the Fare Fixation Committee can escalate it to the Ministry of Urban Development and say that this is the representative we have received. And changing a fare from 2017 and 2025, it's a huge big jump. And such a big jump is not desirable. Normally what happens? See, fare increase is inevitable. 5%, 10% every 2 years. Even commuters don't feel it. So by making such a big change over there, it's unfair. So when two MPs have already brought it to the notice of central government to bring it down over there, there has been, let us not see politics. Let Honorable Chief Minister as well as the state government also make a similar plea to the Fare Fixation Committee, which is empowered and whose decision is binding on the BMRCL. So let the state government take their initiative. Thank you.
True. Bhaskar Raoji, please stay on. There are other dynamics to this also. Bengaluru also pays perhaps one of the highest rates for fuel because of the local charges and the taxes extra, etc. So at that time when the fares are levied, that's done by the state government, Syed Asad Abbas. So why is it that everything is being taxed more and at all levels, as PC Mohanji has put out, at all levels for everything, Bengaluru people are paying more?
Firstly, Anand Saab, thank you very much, Anand Saab, and the team of CNN for doing a story which matters so much to us Bangaloreans. I've been taking the metro ride very, very regularly, and I can see this catastrophic what's happened today. I'm glad that Bhaskar Rao Sahab, a prominent leader of the BJP from Karnataka, said that it is unfair, sir. So I really wish your leaders could hear it, like Mr. R. Ashok, Mr. Ravi Subramanya, and all your MLAs who have been protesting this. So we need to understand that the BMRCL, the Bangalore Metro Rail Corporation Limited, is an autonomous body, sir. And the Karnataka government does not have control over their decisions. And like all other metro corporations in the country, BMRCL operates under the Metro Railways Operations and Maintenance Act 2002, which is controlled by the union government. Now let us understand who decides the fare hike. So we have seen since 2017, yes, I agree with you, metro rails have not been revised whatsoever. Here in Bangalore, we've been paying the same amount. Yes, year on year, 5 to 10% increase is absolutely fair. But jumping to this, I'm glad that Tejasvi Surya has raised this issue and he's meeting the leaders. The fact of the matter is, sir, when it comes to expansion of the metro here in Bangalore, we give you full credit. There is no doubt about it. But why blame the Karnataka government? Mr. Siddaramaiah has absolutely nothing to do with the fare hike. But you leaders come and protest that it is not fair. Even the Fare Revision Committee of the same Bangalore Metro was constituted by the union government. All I'm trying to say, tell you here is, when it comes to taking the credit, take the full credit. But this blame is completely of the union government. It is absolutely wrong to come and protest
so
in
the
front of the Karnataka
state government representative in the committee is a mute spectator. The leaders whom you have pointed fingers that they should listen to Mr. Bhaskar Rao are also from the BJP. Nobody from the Congress is upset about this fare hike. But it's the BJP's fault. Syed Asad Abbas. Nobody has come out and said, no, this is not right.
I'll tell you.
Hey,
Anand sir,
Tapas,
as a matter of
why
fact,
are you keeping? Why
Sidramaya
don't
ji
you all?
has
Why does
said
not?
No, no.
that these protests
Bhaskar
are
Rauji wants to
absolutely
say
right.
something. One sec.
Reduce it.
I'll bring
Okay.
in Priyaji in a bit.
Both
Yes,
members
Bhaskar
come on
Rauji,
it
you're saying
and you
something.
also do it. You do your bit. Why are you not doing it?
What bit, sir? Which bit
The bit of
should Karnataka
extending
government do?
the support to reduce the price of the metro ticket. Since you already increased
If
all
there
other
was
prices,
a
but now
Karnataka
at least
government
here
member or a state government
you are not
representative
able
in
to
the
do it over
three-member
here.
committee,
Why don't you?
could
Why
that
does
person not
not
have
make the request
objected
there?
and said, no, this is not fair hike, will not be allowed?
Fair
The
Revision
other part, the
Committee.
other part is, why is this fair hike?
Fair
No, no.
Revision
And
Committee
there is a
is
member of the
completely.
union government
Anand sir,
representative
can
who
I please
represents the
answer?
union government. There was a retired justice and also a member from the state government. That's how this three-member committee was, Asad Abbas. That's what Bhaskar Rao said. But there is another angle or dimension to this, even as I bring in prominent Bengaluru citizen Priya Chetty Rajagopal. What the Supreme Court observed today. I just want to bring that in and throw in a different perspective. Even as this entire Bengaluru metro price hike is being talked about, the Supreme Court made strong observations criticizing this freebie culture. Justice Gawai has said, are we not creating a class of parasites? Because of freebies, when elections are declared, people are not willing to work. They get free rations without doing any work. The other aspect is the pressure on the exchequer. You have to tax somebody and you have to pinch somebody's pocket to put these freebies or make good these freebies. And we see the last 1.5 to 2 years, the Karnataka Congress government is struggling. And they have oftentimes run into rough weather trying to keep up with promises they cannot afford to give. Priya Chetty Rajagopal. So is this one of those dimensions that also comes in when the middle class, the people who are the salaried class, the people who are going to use these services have to pay more because of the doles that have been promised electorally, with elections in mind by political parties. They cannot be seen as welfare. They are actually electoral doles.
Very valid points that you've made in terms of
Yeah, go ahead,
cross-subsidy
please.
and also making sure that we should not be paying for election promises made by various governments, etc. But my thought process was going more towards how public transportation in the city is really taking such a beating, either because of fare hike or lack of completion of the K ride or lack of focus on public transport like BMTC or even the focus on pedestrians, cycling, etc. That's something which is the integrated approach is really missing. Anand, as a citizen of the city, I am completely with you on the fact that we must have a fair price for what we use, and that should be applicable to everyone. But there is a huge impact of public transportation on the economy. So if there is one thing that should be either looked at more holistically, it should be public transportation. And the metro hike has just put it fair and square in the spotlight, because now many people have got used to the metro, which is great, and more people are moving into the metro commute. Now suddenly they're finding themselves in a very, almost double kind of spend and reconsidering their options. What happens then is a city like Bangalore is going to see a lot more commuters on the street, a lot more commuters using autos, two-wheelers, and other forms of private transport, and you're going to have a problem with the impact on the economy, the idling time, everything else, and more than that, the impact of a city that is choking. So there is a cost to it. Some of it is tangible and some of it intangible. You've kind of driven us towards the metro. We're starting to use it, and now suddenly it's like, well, you know what? You just have to pay twice the cost. It's understandable that the BMRCL has its own FCC. They are forced to comply with the findings of the FCC. We understand all that. The fact that it's both between the city, between the center and the state, and like everything else, it just sort of falls in between, and commuters and citizens take the brunt of it. But what is the overall game? I am saying, I don't want to be Pollyanna, but I'm saying maybe this is a good time for us. One is, certainly I completely oppose this dramatic increase of the metro. But let me park that for a moment and say, maybe it's time for us, when something like this sort of jumps up in your face, is to be able to look at the other forms of transportation which are equally required, like the suburban rail, and like the bus transport services, which are urgently needed, along with last mile connectivity, to make sure that people are moving rather than vehicles are moving. And this is a cliche that's been said often before. Coming back to the issue of BMRCL rates and the increases, the reason given for the rate increase was apparently the servicing of the debts and the fact that there's higher, high operational costs. While that is something that is expected, nobody suddenly, envisioned a 5,000 crore debt or something. It was always there. The financials have always been there. You look at the last 2 years, you have BMRCL has been a profitable enterprise, right? You've had, 735 crore versus 606 crore expenditure. So you've had a good 30 crore profit last year. And the previous year, you have a profitability which has been even higher. I mean, much, much higher than that. So you have a profitable BMRCL. So let's not, we don't necessarily have to feel sorry for it. And if you have costs, I appreciate that. It must be functional. But the cost of losing commuters and travelers on this journey is far too high on the city infrastructure, on the city economic growth, and basic health. While we talk, we are much more comfortable talking numbers. This will happen, 20% ride lower will be low. This will happen. The fact is, some of us are going to be coughing to work. We've seen the AQI in Bangalore has crossed very, very high for the first time in months. So we are seeing that.
You're right. Traffic congestion. See, and not just that. See, the cost of fuel is not cheap in Bengaluru. The state government, center, whoever, they should be actually, like you said, focusing on getting minimum vehicles on the street and maximum into the metros and the hub and node points.
Anand,
what's the solution here? And do you also believe that if they have debt to service, can they take on more debt? Should state governments and any political party that's making these promises be allowed to take on more debt unless they know how they're going to service this debt?
May I just jump in on this, Anand? This is something we've talked about public transportation as being primarily metro. It's a very cool and very sexy form of transport. It's also a transportation mode which requires 500 crores per kilometer, as against 100 crores from suburban rail and much less by the bus transport system. So what happens is the focus of the political class and of the general political economy tends to focus on the metro. No, I don't. I mean, you don't love it, but I'm saying let's appreciate that. Where is suburban rail in all this? We've started in 2020. Not a single brick has been laid towards the airport corridor. The 4 parts of the K ride, which is the Bangalore suburban rail, which is so much more cheaper, which is so much more, which can help Bangalore so much more because it's using existing space, cost of acquisition, so much stuff can be avoided. Having said that, we've got only from 2020 is when Prime Minister Modi had given an assurance that all this will be ready by 2025. We are not even 10% on that path. If we had moved, we would have had less reliance. And I'm coming back to my Pollyanna point of saying that when something like the metro rates increase by almost 100%, it gives you also an option to look at more reasonable forms of transport, which can be just as effective, while keeping in mind the long-term issue of last mile connectivity. And in all this drama, where has been the focus on the Bangalore Metropolitan Land Transport Authority? It's a critical umbrella under which all forms of transport comes under, including poor old me, with 2 feet, or me with a cycle. We are also a form of transport. And Bhaskar will have specific inputs on that because he was transport commissioner at one time and has very good insights into the working of the city. We are passionate about this because
so let's just collectively look at if they want to solve this, can they do it? We also have to keep in mind that there was about 2.5 years of nothing constructive happening because of COVID-1 and COVID-2. But other places, other cities, other states are playing catch up. What's happening with Karnataka? What's happening with Bengaluru? And especially if we are the IT capital of the world, we surely can put our minds, intelligence, artificial and otherwise, artificial and real, and of course use technology to the advantage of trying to make this a breathable, livable and commutable city. You cannot have a situation where it takes 20 minutes to traverse 30 kilometers in other parts of the country, but it takes 2 hours to travel 10 kilometers in Bengaluru. It cannot happen. Bhaskar Rao ji.
See, Bangalore has grown so much, and the fundamental need is transportation, and all kinds of transportation happen there. But unfortunately, what has happened is that there has been poor coordination among the uh, transport servicing organizations like BMTC, KSRTC, EMRCL, and now the K Ride Suburban Rail also over there. Today's discussion, it's about the metro price rise. So we will stick on to it. We can't sit and solve all the problems of the city's transport in one discussion over there. So as I already said to you, that the two members of parliament have already impressed upon the union government. So let the chief minister also similarly write a letter or bring pressure in his own way or in his own method, saying that such a steep hike is unwarranted and it should be reduced. That is all we want. And whether he is successful or not, we don't know.
But isn't it somewhere that but Bhaskar Rao ji, okay, we will not solve the Bengaluru's transport issues today. We don't have the time. But do you agree or disagree? It's because the state government needs to fill its coffers to give out those doles that they have promised, those guarantees for which they had no clue how they will service them. That they are okay if the fares are hiked, and let the center take the blame for it. But let's collect the money.
See, the state government being in economic doldrums is nothing new. It is already in total doldrums and it is struggling and tottering. And as PC Bhawan sir has mentioned, it is raising the price and each of everything, whatever it comes to notice over there. So even as regards the metro fare is concerned over there, state government's responsibility to support the metro and also give money to the metro. You won't be getting any money from metro over there, but it has to supply money to the metro to run the metro to ensure that people have a smooth transit. And as Priya was mentioning, that if you don't do this, people will go back to auto rickshaws, two-wheelers, personalized vehicles, and start clogging the roads, etc. over there. So if the state government's interest is to see that people lead a quality life, it should take up the responsibility of communicating with the center to say that please reduce the fare. Such a steep hike is not warranted, and if at all it has to be done, do it in a graduated way. Like which fares are done, what affairs are done over there. So let them impress upon it. Let us not put it so much of politics into it. But what this chief minister can do is that he can do his bit of bringing it to the notice instead of saying that it is the center which is there. The rolling stock and the metro is owned by the state government. So, and the people of Karnataka, Bangalore use metro. So it is the responsibility of the chief minister to do this. And okay, they have already sunk with their guarantees, sunk with a lot of other issues over there. Those are all very different. But this particular issue of people's commuting needs has to be addressed with the chief minister. And instead of putting tweets over here, chief minister.
No. Syed Asad Abbas was trying to. What's the need to laugh about?
No, not laugh. I was smiling. I was smiling for a reason. Bhaskar Rao Saab, very able leader of the BJP, mentioned that Sidramaiah needs to graduate to writing a letter. Respected sir, I wish you said the same thing to your BJP Karyakartas and your MLAs who are out there shouting, protesting in front of the Bangalore Metro Rail Corporation. When, as a matter of fact, a large part of it, this fee hike has been done by the union government. So it's very easy to pin the blame on Sidramaiah. As a matter of fact, BMRCL being an autonomous body, blaming Sidramaiah is absolutely a joke, sir. It's absolutely unfair.
I am asking you, do they have a plan to service the debt that Karnataka is running? The economics is in doldrums. You can promise only when you have money in your pocket. If you don't have money in your pocket, you are going to do out of borrowings. And if you're going to do it out of borrowings, you're only going to increase the debt weight on the state. Is that healthy for Karnataka? Is that healthy for Bengaluru? And how is it a state that is so rich in resources, so rich in talent, so rich in services, and it has actually become the hub for providing services to the world? How is its economics in doldrums?
Firstly, yes,
and why is it that the government today has to think that I have to charge them 90 rupees? See, do you realize the maximum fare on a metro is almost similar or closer to a liter of petrol or a liter of diesel in Bengaluru right now?
May I answer that? Yes, of course I am.
Whereas metro is supposed to be the cost-effective route. So, and that 1 liter 90 rupees diesel, what a person fills in their bike will actually send them, far more per liter than what the metro is actually going to send them. And metro, every time they travel, they have to pay this fare.
Yes, Anand Saab, you're absolutely right.
It just beats all logic.
Great responsibility.
Yeah, Priya Chetty, final word. Priya Chetty.
Yes. You asked the question to me. Can I get 30 seconds, please? I agree with you, Anand Saab. The fact is, there is
No,
great power, there is
I
great
have limited time.
responsibility
I have limited
and
time.
accountability. So therefore,
I'm just saying
let
it's
us
so
understand.
it's so easy to say
Janta,
deception,
Anand
etc.
Saab,
I'm just saying,
you've
where
made
are
your
the
point.
Congress?
Allow me 30
Where
seconds.
is the Congress's serious point or the Karnataka state government's recommendation? What should be the maximum fare? Have they even come back with something like that? Have they even registered a protest if this fare was being decided? Why is Bengaluru got to pay more than Delhi and Mumbai and Chennai? Is that not a fair question to ask? Who within the Congress party in the state and within the state government has asked this question so far?
Government is better.
Saida Sadabas, you want 30 seconds? I'm saying let them take 3 minutes to answer this. Priya Chetty Rajagopal. Final word.
Yes, I think the fare hike must be rolled back to something which is more equitable. I think that this is a great time for other people for the government to start looking at alternate forms of transport. And I think this kind of the long-term impact of this kind of fare hike, as in impacting the city infrastructure, business climate, and the health of the citizens, has not been thought through. So this is not a knee-jerk. We are not interested in your debt servicing or your operational costs. This has to be, if it has to be cross-subsidized, so be it. But commuters and citizens and the city cannot be affected.
Fair point made. Thank you very much to all our guests for participating in this conversation. When you do fare hikes, should there be a rationalization, and is it being done to service debts and promises which are actually leaking the coffers or the already empty coffers of the state government? These are big questions. Let's hope there is some sense that prevails and there is relief to the middle class, not more stress on their pockets. We're going to take a short break on that note. When we come back, it's a conversation, an exclusive conversation with Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar. He talks about Kumbh, he talks about the impact of content on social media and the need to regulate it, but more importantly, the divine Shivalinga, the original Jyotirlinga of Somnath. Sri Ravi Shankar is in possession of portions or amshas of the original stone, and they will find their way back, perhaps 1,000 years later, to the Somnath temple. How, why, and of course, those stones, why they are so special. When we come back, stay with us.